Hello, everyone. Welcome back to When Shooting's Life podcast. I'm your host, Kue Lee. Today, I have Christian Kane and Kyle Moore from Mountain Tribe Development and Bruce Lee, a competitive shooter from California. The topic for this episode will be about shooting/training in the Hmong community. How's it going, guys?
Hey,
Pretty good, man.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm good. I'm good.
All right, so Christian and Kyle had already been on this podcast, but for you, Bruce, since this is your first time here, why don't you give us a quick background about yourself?
Yeah. I've been competitively shooting USPSA for about man, it's got to be maybe 4 years now. It's more of a side hobby. Before that, and what I always have been was I've always been a hunter. And I know that's pretty big in the community, but I've always been a hunter, and that's what really got me into firearms and all that stuff. Deer, small game, waterfowl, name it all. I've hunted it or I've been into it. Um, and then I'm just a dad, and I'm just a realtor here in Sacramento, California. And yeah, that's what I do.
All right, sounds good. So, before we officially begin this podcast, I just want to say that we're just speaking based our own experience and what we saw throughout our many years as a Hmong person in this training world. So, take whatever we said with a grain of salt. All right. So yeah. With that being said, let's go ahead and answer our first question. So the first question is, why do you think there are not enough Hmong people in the shooting community? Christian, you want to start?
no, actually, I was going to ask Bruce. Bruce, you
Oh,
are a guest on the show. Why don't you go first?
all right,
Yeah.
Bruce.
Sure. I can go first, and like you mentioned, I really appreciate that you mentioned that. It's just our personal experience, right? So when I first started, and I was just hunting at the time, I always liked to take out my dad's little Astro 9 millimeter, and I'll shoot it at camp when I'm bored. That's how I first started shooting handguns and other stuff like that. And then got to college. Hey, I have a little bit of money now. I can buy stuff. We can shoot. I can legally have a gun. Um, and got together with a bunch of guys and like, hey, let's buy targets. Let's buy stuff like that, and we'll meet up for like range days in the mountains somewhere, like maybe once every 2 months or something. And then, you know, I get it. It's college. There's life. A lot of guys got married too, and um, no one just really, it just really died down. No one really got serious about it. And for a long time, I was bitter. I was bitter with these friends. I'm like, man, they said they're down. They said they're this. I really wanted to do it, but then they're all kind of gone. But what I came later to understand is our community. If you're going to college, you're going to get a job after. You're probably going to get married soon after. You didn't go to college and you got a job right after, then you're probably going to get married and have kids soon. So that was just life. It was just kind of catching up to them. And overall, I feel like it's more of a social economic thing here, at least. A lot of guys are just focused on work and kids. And a lot of guys that did share the same hobby, they'll make time for hunting when it's time to go hunting, which is a couple months out of the year. But if you try to get them out shooting and stuff like that, oh, I'm busy, have ceremonies or events, things will come up. And so I came to understand a little later in life that, of course, everyone wanted to go out and shoot like that. It's just life caught up to a lot of us. And that's just kind of what it was. And people had to prioritize things.
Yeah, and just to kind of build off with that, I think that Bruce, you're absolutely right on that. That a lot of it does come down to just the economics of it. I mean, shooting's expensive, and with all the tariffs in place, there's a bunch of companies saying that yeah, prices of ammo, it's just pretty much going to go up, and that's how it's going to be. It's just going to get worse from here. I think the other thing is that just within the Hmong community, um, it's a lot of people, they kind of look for, what is the rest of our community doing right now, and especially when it comes to like the shooting space, you don't really see a lot of people in that space. A lot of the Hmong community, they own firearms. A lot of them hunt. A lot of them go to the range maybe like one, two, three times a year, and just are casual firearms owners. But a lot of them don't understand that, just owning a gun is one thing, but actually having a high level of skill with it, and then being able to compete with it, right? And be able to like drive that skill higher and higher. That definitely doesn't seem like something that they're really familiar with at all. And I had this funny conversation with my wife yesterday where I was telling her that one of my dreams is just to own an airplane, right? Own an airplane, and then we can go on adventures and just fly to places. And she was like, "What do you mean you're going to own an airplane?" She was like, "Nobody I know owns an airplane." I'm like, "Yeah. So why can't I do that? Why can't I have an airplane? Learn all the rules, learn everything about it, and then just have an airplane." And so she kept pushing back, pushing back, pushing back, and a lot of it came down to she doesn't know anybody who owns an airplane. She doesn't know anybody who's a pilot, right? But
Definitely,
there's
definitely.
there's yeah, there's a lot of cool people out there who are young people, and they have airplanes and they make a lot of media content on it. And that kind of inspired me that, I would love to be able to do that, just to have that opportunity. And but for somebody who has never really been exposed to that, it's so different. It's so wild out there that you can never imagine yourself doing that. And I think that's a big part of it. What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I think it's just people are, especially in the Hmong community, they're not exposed to it. In our community, it's just you and me. There's nobody else that I know in our community that kind of takes this to the next level. Um, but once you can get the guys out like once or twice, um, and get them in the mindset of, I don't have to go to the range and waste 500 rounds in an hour. I can make the most of my time by shooting 200 rounds and focusing on one thing. Um, I think like you said, Bruce, it comes down to the economics. People think that, when you shoot, you're just wasting money. You're kind of just making loud noises, expensive noises, and they haven't necessarily seen that you can expand that time that you have and expand your training to kind of get the most out of what you are looking for. I just think that if we could get more people out and kind of show them that, hey, we're focused on this one thing, um, maybe we can get more people out. Maybe they can understand that shooting is not as expensive as it seems. It is expensive, don't get me wrong, but it can be had at a lower cost with more return on investment, kind of.
And Kyle makes an excellent point there that Kyle and I, we've been trying to start up a little training group of guys, and
Mm-hmm.
our text group is like 12 people, and of those
Yep.
12 people, like three or four of them
Very.
show up.
Yeah.
But well, just with that small group of guys with less than 100 rounds of ammo, we can show quantifiable improvements in their skill by
Mm-hmm.
just showing them, hey, the way that you're gripping the pistol, here's a better way to grip that pistol, and here's a better way to learn the mechanics of that shooting, and this is what grandmaster level shooters do, and this is how to incorporate that into your training. And within the Hmong community, there's not a lot of people who are able to kind of take those higher level skills, higher level topics, and kind of distill it into a way that other people can understand. Because the vast majority of people, non-Hmong community, is just think that guns is, you take the gun, go to the range, and then you've got that circle target, and then you just slowly fire at the circle target, and that's okay for that purpose. But I mean, if you're talking about a defensive firearm scenario, that's not what a defensive firearm scenario looks like. Defensive firearm scenario often comes down to you bring the gun out and then you panic fire. And in a competition sense, you bring the gun out and then you get rapid, accurate hits on target. And that tends to be a little bit closer to what we would actually see in a defensive scenario where you need to engage the target quickly and you need to engage it rapidly. And, we would like to see people with the skill to be able to do that on demand, that performance on demand aspect of
Mm-hmm.
it. Cool. What are your thoughts? You always bring the questions, but I feel like we
Um,
don't always get to hear your opinions.
well, before I give my opinion, Bruce, you did brought up a good point about life, and I was gonna ask you guys, do you guys think it's also because the Hmong community, we get married too early? because a lot of Hmong people that I know get married right after high school. I'm not gonna say myself because I got married at the age of 23, but I did move out with my wife, girlfriend that time at the age of 19. And when I moved out at that age, I was struggling, so I didn't have time for any hobby besides just working. Do you guys think that also plays a role?
Oh, absolutely. I think it plays a role because I was.
I definitely.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. My
No,
fault.
Bruce, go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely do think that plays a role. You get married sooner. You have responsibilities sooner. You have the in-laws asking you to show up on the weekends, on Saturday, Sundays, right? I just had to cancel the last match because of a ceremony. Um, but that's just kind of what it is at this point. But yeah, to answer Ku's question, definitely. And what I do see about a lot of my friends that they're shooting A class, M class, and we're all about the same age, about 30, 31, 32. They're just getting married and having kids now. I got married when I was 26. So I'm still lucky enough to have my wife allowed me to have that time to go out and to pursue these hobbies or passions. But I noticed that a lot of my friends, yeah, that are shooting M class, shooting A class consistently, GM, they're all just starting to get married now. And then I'm telling them, oh, you guys better, shape up. All that daddy weight's going to come on. You never think's going to hit you until it does, and stuff like that. But that I do definitely notice that. Yes, yes.
What were you gonna say, Kyle?
Yeah, same boat as you. I got married at 22 and I was struggling. Trying to, finance this gun hobby was pretty difficult. So um, I guess kind of where it came from was when I got to shoot, I wanted to shoot as much as I could in one day. So that's where I think me just wasting ammo and just pulling the trigger as fast as I could, knowing that maybe I had that one day for the next 3 months. Maybe that was kind of my intention, just to get as much shooting as I could, not necessarily making any leaps and bounds. Maybe that's kind of the reason that we're kind of all in this boat is that we are busy. Every weekend I have something going on. It's just I don't know. It's kind of what you're saying is maybe now that people are getting married at our when they're closer to 30. um, I don't know where I'm going with this, but kind of like maybe their life is just starting. They have their school behind them. They've got their job. They can kind of push into the gun world a little bit better. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, for me, getting married early and struggling and trying to finance this gun hobby was pretty difficult. It wasn't until just a couple of years ago that I could kind of just fully push into it and started making old man money that I could start really going hard at it.
Yeah, and just to go off on that, this year I had this goal of, I would like to be A class by the end of the year. But the more I get into it, the more I realize how much time is really required just to make B class, and then to make A class or even M class. Yeah, it's going to take so much time of dry fire, of fine tuning your mechanics, of understanding your positioning and your movement mechanics. And then I realized that I think you brought this up, that Matt Pranka, he said that, trying to make GM, that almost ruined his marriage. And I was talking to Thing. He's a master class shooter. He's over here in North Carolina. So he's master class in open. And so he said that, yeah, he pretty much almost ruined his marriage trying to go from M to GM. And he says that a lot of guys that he knows, their marriages did end because they were pushing for grandmaster level shooters. So just me with that goal of trying to make A class this year. I don't know how realistic that is because I was trying to go to a match with Kyle this weekend, but then we got family events, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to be able to make it. Kyle, did you sign up for that match?
I did. I don't know if I'm going to go if you're not going to
Okay.
go. I'm kind of
I
50-50 on the fence right now.
I really wanted to go.
Yeah.
I've got to check about next month,
Hmm.
but I don't know if something's going to go to that one, but
Hmm.
I'll text him and I'll ask.
Okay.
but it's fun. It's long though, so just expect not to be home until like 5 or 6.
Yeah,
It's long.
yeah.
You know, it's funny, Christian. I had the same goal this year to make A class. I shot a bunch of matches. I haven't been officially classed yet, um, because I just it's just that thing of not making it. But yeah, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be A class, and then the first week I'm like dry firing every night, and then the second week it's just like, oh, I can't do it no more. You know, baby needs this, or this needs to happen, or that. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick. Sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
Nah, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, for a lot of pe non-Hmong people, they don't realize that most Hmong family are huge, right? We have a lot of cousins, a lot of relatives, uncles, and almost every single weekend there's always an event going on. So, um, I think that is definitely one of the reasons why we don't see much Hmong people in the student community. Um, so yeah, but to answer our first question, my opinion is it's a little bit different from you guys, but I think the reason why we don't see much Hmong people in the shooting community is because the lack of knowledge and research. I feel like since there's not enough Hmong people in the sport, USPSA to be specifically, not enough Hmong people in USPSA, it's not grabbing enough attention from the community. I feel like uh, a lot of us we're waiting for someone to make it big before it inspire us to do it, you know? So I feel like that could be a lack of knowledge and research and also self-doubt because since we don't usually see anyone of our own kind in that sport, so we feel like um like we're already doubting ourselves that okay, maybe I'm not going to be able to do it. But in my opinion, um regardless if you're self-doubting yourself, you should still go do it because um you'll learn so much from the sport, you know, compared to if you just go to the range and firing like a couple hundred rounds. So yeah, and I also think that the reason why there's not much of us in this sport is because we tend to stick to what we're comfortable with. You know, for example, there's a lot of home musician, and it's just more common for the Hmong community to do music than to go out and train and shoot. So that's my opinion why there's not much Hmong people in the shooting community. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I agree with you on that. It's a lot of factors, a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of
Yeah.
effort, and
Yep.
it's tough for most people to do that.
Yeah, and like you said, if you come from a big family, you're always something going on. Like
Hmm.
this weekend, I've got Easter egg hunts, friends, kids' birthday parties. Last week, we were cutting down trees, helping my uncle, all kinds of stuff. It's hard to find time to get with some buddies and train. I've been trying to get Tim to come out. Tim's been asking me to come out, and he's every time I'm free, he's got a fishing tournament, stuff like that. It's hard for us to just to find time just to get together, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, you brought a good point too, right there, where Hmong people love hunting and Hmong people love fishing,
Hmm.
but somehow shooting and getting better at guns is not a thing in the Hmong community. So I feel
Hmm.
like even as busy as we are, I don't think that should be an excuse too, because we make a lot of time for fishing. We make a
Yep.
lot of time for music. We make a lot of time
Hmm.
for hunting. So why is that we don't make enough time for firearm training, especially when almost every Hmong family own firearms?
Hmm. I'll tell you what I think. It's because nothing bad has happened to their family yet. You think I'm right, Christian? If
Y-
something if something has traumatized you, your family, someone you know, a cousin, or you're a victim of gun violence, then you kind of take a step back, like, hey, this can happen to me. What can I do to protect myself, protect my family? I think everything gets thrown on the back burner because you live in this safe bubble and you don't see all the all the, the bad stuff that can happen to you until it happens to someone you know.
Well, we're a little biased because we're in North Carolina, Bruce
Yeah.
and Koo, you guys probably see a little bit more action in St. Paul and Sacramento than we do.
Yes, and yes, that is very true. So I would kind of have to disagree with you on that, Kyle. I don't
Hmm.
think that we need to wait until something bad happened to our family because if you live in Minnesota, that shit happens every day. Not just to Hmong people, but everyone. But I feel like that still don't motivate the Hmong community to train.
Hmm.
I think a big thing is, and I agree with Kyle to a point too, and I also agree with Ku, is a big thing is, so I grew up in South Sac, which is probably the worst part of Sac. A lot of us did. Um, you hear gunshots, you hear about drive-by, stuff like that. A big thing is upbringing, because I would say like my dad, he always told me stories about when they're trying to escape the communists. He just wished they had a gun, right? So as a kid growing up, uh, hearing those stories, it kind of became like a gun could protect me. A gun had the power to do that. And so I became really reliant on it, dependent on it, or I just really, um, I loved to touch. I guess my dad had too much trust in me at that time, but maybe I was like 8, 9. But I loved to when he was gone, I loved to like go in and just like touch the guns. And of course, he never had it loaded or anything. And glad that he had basic safety knowledge like that. But I love to touch it. I love to like point at things in the walls, stuff like that. And so it is kind of upbringing too. I do agree about the bad things happening to you.
Wait, quick disclaimer, quick disclaimer.
Yeah,
That's just how the way Bruce grew up. Don't let your kids do that.
Agreed.
Don't
definitely.
leave guns around for your kids to touch them.
Definitely
Okay,
don't leave guns around. They were so it was
that's
locked in a safe.
OG. That's
Yeah, it was
OG.
locked in a
Yeah.
safe. But my dad being who he was, he's like, this is the key. And if he ever needed something, this is how you would get it because there's documents and there was cash in there too. But yeah, it's a very OG style. And my dad always had this like term, "You're the man of the house now." When I leave, I'm like, dude, I'm 8 years old. What the hell am I gonna do? And so it's just added up really quickly in my head. Man of the house, live in the bad place. There's a gun in there if I need it. Of course, I never really thought about the full uh, consequences of it if something did happen. But as a kid, that was kind of what was going through my head. But the second thing about Kuli saying the fishing and the hunting thing, I definitely agree. I don't know how hunting is up there, but for us, hunting is always a community thing. Like all the cousins and all the kiti and everyone gets together and go out. Um, and so I feel like if we could apply that to the shooting scene, um, then maybe we could get more guys to go out too.
Yeah, and I think there's a big accessibility part of that too. That it's kind of hard to get your friends and family to go out there. I know that's something that Koo you struggle with a lot is that there's not really a lot of great places to shoot. I mean, you've got the private ranges, but you're so limited in what you can do in private range. Kyle and I were pretty spoiled because we've got my private range, so we can kind of do whatever we want over there, bring as many friends and family as we want. So that just having access to a place to shoot is such a difficult part. I think Bruce, over in your part, you guys have access to like BLM land, right? So you guys can just go shoot whenever you guys want.
Yeah, we have BLM land, we have national forest land, we have local ranges too. So you could basically just go shoot whenever you want. And when it's like here, it's crappie season, and it's a lot of those lakes are located next to or within BLM or national forest land, and you can hunt and you can not hunt right. Well, you can hunt right now if you wanted to, but most people aren't. But you can fish and you can shoot, and you can fish and you can shoot. But like you said, that doesn't seem like to be the case. I think most people are still really set on if I'm going to invest this time, I want something tangible for it, right? You can go fishing, and then you can get a fish. You can go hunting and you can get a
Mm.
deer. But if you just go shooting, what are you getting from it? You know? And I guess they don't quite understand that you're developing your skill set, which it's not tangible today, but if you do it consistently for 100 days, then you'll start to see a difference.
100% agreed.
Damn.
And I think our culture has changed too, because it used to be, like 30, like 20, 30 years ago, you would be able to see shooting sports on TV, but you don't really see any matches on TV. You don't see IPSC, three gun, or USPSA on TV anymore. And this is just comes from studying firearms culture in the US. There's kind of been that shift where you don't really see that gun culture represented in that more sportsman-like manner. Everything tends to be, action movies and video games, and that tends to be most people's exposure to firearms, and especially true of the Hmong community. And I think a big part of it comes down to a lot of people don't understand why they would need to be able to shoot faster or better. And if you're not exposed to, sport shooting, competition shooting, and seeing people like that, then that would bring a big question to you too. If you guys ever watch like anything like the Olympic style shooting with like the air rifles and the pistols and the 22 caliber rimfire stuff, the US just doesn't really do great in those. And then you watch, a lot of European and Asian countries that do very well in those target style environments, but you really don't typically see the US doing well, and that's because we don't really have a culture of that. When you talk to Americans about guns, it's I take my AR, I go into the woods, and I shoot beer cans. That's typically what the Americans think about firearms. And so, in different cultures, I complain to Ku about this all the time. Like, why is like one of the top, probably the top shooter, Eric Raffel, why is he French? Why don't we have like top shooters who are American? We got really good shooters, but why is it within like competition shooting sports? It tends to be dominated by non-Americans, and that comes down to kind of American culture and our the way we treat firearms.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, you guys basically kind of answered the second question already, because the second question was, what can we do to bring more awareness of firearm training and competitive shooting to the Hmong community? Um, so yeah, with that being said, what do you guys think we need to do to motivate more Hmong people to train with firearms? Should we offer? Oh well, since you Christian and Kyle, you guys own a self-defense company or business. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's just trying to get people out there because the same two guys that have been showed up the first time, and they're seeing tangible differences in their shooting style. Um, and we'll run like double pairs on sticky notes, little sticky notes, and you'll see them shooting, and then they kind of struggle with it, and then it clicks, and they're hitting it, hitting it, hitting it, hitting it, and they see that tangible um, that improvement, and then they just get hooked because they just want to keep improving, keep improving. I think it's for us. We just gotta get those people out there so that they can see that they'll make improvements, and maybe that will get them hooked. Because, like Bruce was saying, Hmong people are they want something in return for their efforts. So if they can see that they're improving, maybe we can get some more guys out there.
Ooh, you're not in the Hmong's firearms group, Facebook group anymore, but just like a couple days ago, Kyle and Bruce, you probably saw this. Ku, your favorite instructor, was posted there, and everybody was fawning over him. They love him so much. One of the Hmong guys, he posted a picture of him with two lamb of Ronin Tactics.
Mhm.
Oh.
Your favorite instructor in the whole world, because he's in Call of Duty. But if you posted a picture of you with, say, like Hwansik Kim, nobody knows who Hwansik Kim is, but we know who Ronin Tactics is.
Mhm.
Hwansik Kim doesn't have a Holosun optic named after him.
Mhm.
So why do you guys think that's the reason why do why do you guys think that Hmong people tend to look up to more like Tu Lam, Ken Kennedy, or Tim Kennedy, not Ken Kennedy, Tim Kennedy, or the SF guy more than the guys that actually know how to shoot? Why do you guys think that?
That's the culture, man. That's the culture. Those are the people we associate the most with firearms. Like I mentioned before, in a lot of other countries, when they think of firearms, they think of, like Olympic style shooting where it's that target shooting, and that's why the U.S. really doesn't do well when it comes to competition sports, which is weird. It's really weird, but that's because when you talk in the U.S. about firearms, you're thinking special forces. You're thinking Tulam. You're thinking Call of Duty. You're thinking of Tim Kennedy. You're thinking of Navy SEAL type of stuff because that's the only thing that we're exposed to. And I complain about that all the time. That the only thing we know about guns is things that we learn from rectangles, from movies, video games, and TV. And while it's fun, that's a lot of fun. Me and my friends, we love to wear plate carriers and we'll do night vision and wear armor and we'll go goof around and stuff like that. But when you actually talk about it, what are the things that actually make you a better shooter? That's it depends on the context. It depends on the context of what do you mean by a better shooter? Because there's so many disciplines within shooting itself. So I would say that for those listening, like the thing that we're complaining about the most is mostly that, when it comes to firearms, right? It comes to being competent with a firearm. A lot of people they don't really take the safety part that seriously, and they don't take the training aspect of it seriously. And so it's kind of like you purchase it and it becomes a magic charm, right? As long as it is around you or near you or in a table, bedside table somewhere, then you'll be safe. But when you start getting into it, having the object does nothing for you if you don't know how to use it properly and with skill. And so another big part of that is that it's just a lot of fun. We really enjoy shooting guns for fun. So our biggest hope is that we would love to see more of the Hmong community in that firearm shooting space. If we could build, we talk about we would love to sponsor like a team, right? Sponsor a group of guys or gals to go and shoot competition and stuff. But it's going to be a while. And Ku, I've talked to you about this. I think it's an advertising problem. And same thing for Kyle that we talk about. It's, how do you tell somebody that you don't know what you don't know? Because a lot of people, myself included, think that, they think that they're pretty good at shooting. Okay. Because they can hit that beer can at 10 yards pretty consistently. But when we look at what actual good shooters can do, most people don't know what that looks like.
I think Christian has a great point. And I really like when you're referring to it as a marketing thing. I think that it's the Ronin, Tim Kennedy, stuff like that, special forces. It's flashy, and it's cool, right? And I bought into that when I was younger too. But you come to realize that most of us will never probably be special forces. I'm not. I don't know anyone in special forces right now that's a Hmong dude or anything like that. I'm sure there will be in the future, but not just even our community, but just in America in general. Most of us will probably never be there, but anyone could pick up a production level Glock 19, Glock 17, take that intro class, and start. And that's what I kind of registered earlier on that, hey, this is cool, but most of us guys will probably never get to that level, or to just go in that direction. I'm a family man. I'm a businessman. I'm whoever you want to be. I'm a civilian. I'm at work. And how do I become more proficient in firearms if I'm not a special operator? And the USPSA has been probably the best thing I've ever done, because like I was saying, I was buying all these steel plates and all these target stands, and a couple $100 later, and all my friends are like, "Oh, we can't go, we can't go." And then I met some actual shooting friends, right, or some actual shooting guys online, And shout out to my buddy operator. He's like, "Hey, take this intro course, and then see, and then you come out and shoot." And I took the intro course, and here I am now. And you can sign up for a match for $25 and shoot that weekend, and you just help with teardown. You don't need the whole stage planning, all that stuff. You don't need all the gear, all the equipment. $25 and you get to shoot on a weekend, and not just the shooting, but one of the other biggest things is just watching people shoot, seeing what they're doing, seeing how they're breaking down the stage plan, seeing how they're putting things together, stringing shots together, um, just stuff like that. And has been exponential compared to um, what I was trying to do before.
So the question is, how do we make training fun? Make it look cool, make it look fun. Do we need to wear Hmong clothes while shooting? Because I noticed that anytime when it's Hmong related, that's when it grabbed Hmong people attention.
That's true too.
Because I did a social experiment where I was wearing a Hmong vest and I shot horrible at that match. But then Hmong people loved this shit. But then when I was just wearing regular clothes and I shot pretty good, I get no likes, no heart emoji, So I think in order for us to bring more awareness to the Hmong community about, training and shooting, we have to wear some kind of Hmong vest or something that's Hmong related. And I think that's the issue that we have in our Hmong community is that we only view something important or only grab our attention when we could relate to it.
Yeah,
Ku.
yeah, I definitely agree. Go ahead, Christian. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I'll make a real quick point. Ku, in defense of the Hmong community, when Suni Lee does like a gold medal run on her Olympic stuff in her gymnastics, I don't know if that's really good compared to what any other the other girls doing that can
Hmm.
do. If you were to do like a GM level classifier, I don't, is that good? Nobody else knows. So in defense, most people don't watch gymnastics, and most people don't watch classifiers, and so they don't know. So that was something that Kyle and I that we did is that we used to do like a lot of flashy videos of blowing out windshields and long range shooting, and we had some of our friends do some really cinematic videos, and those didn't really get us anywhere. So
You,
yeah, I
you know why? Because you didn't wear any Hmong clothes.
probably probably
Yeah,
probably.
that's funny too because I know which video you're talking about because it
Mhm,
was shared on my page and you
mhm,
got a bunch of likes there too in my little group. So I
mhm.
run a little group, California Asian Outdoorsmen and Shooting, because I had this vision of trying to blend um, hunting and shooting those two worlds together. And so that video did pop up, and I did see it get shared in a bunch of other places. And so that's why I made that one video a while back, and it wasn't anything cool or anything, but I tagged you guys in it and just played some home music in it. And I did notice that I did get a little more activity than the other ones.
Yep.
And so I think a big thing is it's all about the exposure and just exposing them to it. It's crazy to say, but it seems like on my side of the world, I seem to be one of the very few first guys to expose the community to USPSA. Um, it's like most people didn't see that before, or they saw it and they didn't really have an understanding of it. But whenever I do meet someone, oh, you should competition, right? You should competition. Like it's a big thing, which it's not. Anyone could get into it. It's just exposing them to it and making that exposure consistent. And then the guys that want to do it, they'll come out and do it. The guys that are like, oh, we'll see you next week, and they don't come out, then they're just probably never going to come out. But the guys that do want to do it and have reached out, they will show up and they'll start.
Christian, I just looked at what you typing.
I
But
just
yeah,
saw
yeah,
it.
Bruce, yeah, definitely. What you said is 100% correct, man. Yeah, yeah, damn. Damn, Christian, you should have never shown me that. Now I lost my train of thought.
If we had Lou Yana video, maybe it would have been a game
Yeah,
changer.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that's, yeah, yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Sorry.
have you met him? Why is his name slipping my mind? Because he came to shoot with us one or two times. Um, his brother is a
No,
SWAT officer.
I've never met him. No.
Um, I think you have. He has. You may or may not have because he came to shoot with us one or two times.
Mm,
Um, but his page is Hmong Deadshot, and
mhm.
so we're not sharing our screen, so you guys can't don't know what we're talking about.
You
Um,
could go ahead and
gosh,
share it.
his name. Let me share my screen.
Oh, you
I'm
Mong
s-
Dash Shot, you talking about James?
James. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that is
yeah,
his
yeah,
name,
yeah.
James. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So anyway, so let me share my screen, and I'll kind of tell you what I'm talking about. Um, okay, share my screen. Anyway, so this is his Facebook page, his Hmong Deadshot page. He doesn't really do as much training stuff as he used to. I believe James he did a little bit of shooting with GSSF, which is the Glock competition. Um, I don't think he really does too much now because now he's married and I believe he's got a kid already. And so, I mean, he still does stuff for fun, brings his friends and families out to his personal range. And so he had Lu Yan come out to his range. This is his public profile, but his private profile, he had like a ton of interactions because, everybody would love to see, a very famous Hmong celebrity come and shoot guns. And so, yeah, comes back to the advertising part of it is that, how do you get exposure? How do you get eyes
Mhm.
on your media? Um, so maybe we need to get more Hmong influencers to come shoot with us. Maybe that's what we're missing.
Yeah, I noticed that too because I think, but the thing is, if man, like for me, I kind of don't want to take that route because I feel like if I take that route, I'm just selling
Cheating.
myself, yeah, cheating myself out
Yeah.
or selling myself out. And I did notice, I do agree with that because you guys know the Hmong rapper BXO from Son of No Town.
Mhm.
So yeah, I had him come out and shoot with me, and that picture got tons of fucking reaction, and I'm just like, damn, bro. But yeah, so I think the issue with our Hmong community is that we tend to I think we're so focused on media, especially music, and yeah, I think we just need a Hmong musician with big followers to just come out and shoot. But I mean, do you really want to do that? You know what I mean? Do you really want to make that a thing where now we're just turning training into entertainment?
Yeah. You're kind of selling yourself
Yeah,
short. It would be cool, but yeah, I
yeah.
get what you're saying 100%.
Could just tell me. I'll get Death Rhyme to come out there and shoot with you. Just tell me.
Why you relate to him?
I'm my wife. She's since she was working with Senator Fong Ho's campaign, she interacted with him with a couple times. So I've got some connections, a little bit.
I personally do know a few Hmong celebrities. I hate to use that word Hmong celebrities, but I do personally know them, a few of them. But I don't know, man. I just feel like I want them to come train because they want to train, not because I'm trying to get my views up.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So I think if I'm sticking to my route, then I don't think I'll be able to bring awareness to the Hmong community in Minnesota because in Minnesota there's only four Hmong active shooters. I shouldn't use the word active shooter, but only four Hmong Hmong guys that mainly do USPSA, which is I mentioned on the last podcast, me, Tony, Fucha, and Third, and I feel like that shouldn't be. There should be more of us because Minnesota has the biggest Hmong population, and yet we're the only four that is really out there shooting and training. Um, And when I'm talking about training, I'm not just talking about go into a range and fire a couple hundred rounds at one single target. I'm talking about shooting as fast as you can under pressure, and just keep on pushing to get better. And I think that's one of the issue in the Hmong community is that we don't view competition shooting as real training, unless it's tactical. But a lot of Hmong people don't understand that at the end of the day, shooting is shooting. There's no difference between tactical shooting and competitive shooting. In my opinion, tactical, yes, there's such thing as tactical training, but there's no such thing as tactical shooting, because at the end of the day, like I said, shooting, shooting, and I just don't think competitive shooting looks cool enough compared to tactical, because I do see a lot of Hmong people invest into body plates, helmets, all of the stuff, but they don't actually invest into the skills. So now the question is, how do we get Hmong people into training? And that's the question
We
that I feel like I don't think that none of us could answer.
Yes, I can.
All
Just
right, go
bring
for it.
Death Prime to go shoot with you, and then just start training people again.
Hey, what about Yasmin?
Yeah, it's me. I don't know. Next time David comes to town, I will try to get David out.
All right.
Yeah,
But
Let me
yeah,
know, Kyle. Let me know. I'm down
yeah.
for it.
I've got a buddy who is uncle to their kind of their Trey, the top guy. Um, so if we can get in touch with Trey, maybe David will go for it. We'll see.
My grandparents came to the U.S. with Brenda Song's grandparents, and so they're like they knew each other well. And her grandparents are actually over in Morganton, and so
Hmm.
like we went to their house one time. Like we saw like all the pictures of her. So I don't think she's ever going to come over here, but if she ever does, then we'll do that.
Yeah,
Brandon Song?
Hmm.
I don't think so, man.
Nah,
I don't
nah,
I
we're
blame
think
her
not.
though.
we
I
probably got
Nah,
a
we're
better
not.
shot with David.
but
Nah, we're not cool enough.
bringing up Brandon Song. Shout out to Brandon Song. I think what she's doing is great, but
Yep.
I feel like the reason why there's so much hatred towards her from the Hmong community is because she, she what she is doing is not related to the Hmong community. Same goes with Suni Lee. Back when before she became a medalist, nobody knows of her, and then she became gold medalist, and then Hmong people was hating on her because she couldn't speak Hmong or she was dating a black dude. And I think that's the issue with our Hmong community is that we want to be related and we expect the person that make it big um to bring us up there with them when they don't realize that Suni Lee and Brandon Song, that's not the responsibility to bring us up with them. And it doesn't matter if and fuck, what am I gonna what am I trying to say? Basically, we expect something in return from that person. And so Suni Lee says something like, they love me when I benefit them, but hate me when it comes to my happiness. And I think that's a toxic trait that a lot of our community have is that we expect too much from someone, from a Hmong person. We expect them to speak in Hmong, represent us. And the question is, why can't you be the one? Be up there and then represent us? Why do we
Hmm.
always expect someone to represent us? So that's why I feel like we as a Hmong community, we grow slowly compared to other Asian is because always want we always have I think we have too much pride. Like we always want to be represented. Um, so yeah, you guys get what I'm saying, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I
I
agree.
hear what you're saying. Um, and it's definitely true. It's true because I did see that quote, and I mean, we feel it every day as just regular Hmong people. It's like when you do well, um, people they know you, they want free stuff, they want freebies or discounts or this and that. But when they don't know you, they just don't know you, you know. Um, and the big thing is the pride thing because it's kind of funny, but people are still like here. They're still like there's it's still very home pride-ish everywhere they go, even though sometimes what they're doing looks foolish or they're not doing the best thing. It's still like, oh, he's home, so we got to do this. They're home, so we got to do this. Or I'm home, so I should be entitled to this. And so I definitely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole different topic, but yeah. Since you
Yeah.
guys brought up Brandon's song.
Mhm.
So the next question is, we kind of covered this a little bit, but we could dive a little bit deeper into it. Do you guys think it's because of how our generation was raised? And I could start with this one. I think it is how our generation was raised. So I know that we are considered the first generation, but I consider ourselves as the second generation because we were born here. Our parents got here before we did. So um, a lot of people, well, a lot of, I feel like mainly only Asian people in general could relate to this topic, but I feel like the reason how we were raised could affect how what we do in life. So, for example, I came from a poor family. We live, I was born in Detroit, Michigan. So I came from a poor family, and the only thing that I see my parents do was work, 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 like every day, every night, and we they never had time to expose us to anything beside working and education. And it's not their fault. But I feel like that could play the role. And so our generation, we're so focused in school becoming a doctor or lawyer that we don't think that anything else is possible, or we don't care to research anything else beside education. So I feel like that is one of the reasons why we don't see much Hmong people in the shooting community because we got guns, but then most of the older Hmong men they love to go hunt, so we're more exposed to hunting than just actual training.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point about just like the different generations. A lot of us are first generation, and it's it's a really interesting point that you bring up. And I talk about this sometimes that so during the war, during the Vietnam War, both of my grandfathers, one was a captain, the other one was a lieutenant, right? And if you guys know anything about military structure, officers are like an entire other class compared to anybody else, the enlisted troops, right? Privates, corporals, sergeants. If you're an officer, I mean, this goes back to the military history where the officers are the nobles, and so they're treated differently, right? You may have been in the military for like 20 years, but if there's an officer who just fresh officer, sergeant still has to salute that fresh sergeant who's like 20 years old. And that just goes back to military tradition. And the reason I bring that up is that since both of my grandfathers were both officers, when General Ving Pao came to the U.S., guess who got to come with him first? His officers. And so both my families, they were some of the first ones to come over to the U.S., and so they were able to kind of get a head start. And then just growing up, my dad, um, my grandparents, they're as poor as everybody else, but my grandfather, especially on my dad's side, he was very business minded. He was very had the mindset of of growing things, and so he would take all of his money, he invested it a lot, and he was able to save up a lot, and they got my dad and my uncle into private Catholic school, and that was something that they pushed for is for my dad and my uncle to have such a good education, and then later on they became engineers, and so myself and like my cousins, like one of my cousins the doctor, the other one's like my sister, she's a web developer, another cousin he does like medical research stuff, and so it's it's this generational thing that kind of grows, and this is something I talk about is building this generational wealth that when when you're able to kind of build something better for yourself, then it compounds. It compounds in later generations where your kids have something better and their kids have something better, right? And they're able to get to better schools, get into better careers and things like that. And it's tough. It's tough for a lot of our families because a lot of them grow up very poor, and it's hard for them to get out of that. It's hard for them to spend time with their kids and to help them in their education. And one of the things, especially we see in education, is that the quality of that home life really determines the future of those kids. And it's hard for a lot of those kids to get out of that cycle of poverty because they don't really have a great home life. Parents are always working, and so it's harder for them to have better grades, get into better schools, and get better jobs after that. So that is to say, that one of the things that I do is I teach my cybersecurity class, and I've got my cybersecurity class. I've got my rental property business with all these properties I own, and then I'm also teaching the gun classes, and I'm also trying to do an IT managed service provider. So I'm trying to do all of these things on top of my full time job, and I enjoy it, and I know that my son's going to have he's going to have a better future because of it, and then just trying to find that balance between all these jobs and helping out my son. But going back to that. I guess what I want to say is that when it comes down to it, the way that your family starts off, you don't get to pick, right? You don't get to pick the family that you're born into. But if we're able to help our community and kind of bring them up, then that elevates them, that raises them up, and that's one of the things that I love about like the cybersecurity class that I teach, and that a lot of my grads in that program, they're now working six figure salary jobs, whereas before they were really broke, and their kids and their family life really suffered because of it. Um, is that going to be for everyone? It's not going to be for everyone, but it's I guess it's just kind of one of my small part that I'm doing in trying to make the lives better for our community and try to elevate them a little bit. And yeah, the overall question of how do we take the entirety of the community and elevate them is that's a difficult one. That's a difficult one to say, but I would say that if you can build up like icons, right? If you can build up leaders in that community where people can look up to them, people can say, hey, Cindy Lee, she's a excellent gymnast. I mean, there's a lot of Hmong guys who are really good athletes. There's like that, I don't know, Kyle, you probably know who I'm talking about. There's that Hmong guy who's like the really good motorcycle racer.
Aiden
There's
Chow.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and there's and there's the people like that, they stand out, and it gives the younger people in our community something to kind of look up to and a goal to reach. And I think that's something that I think would be great for a community.
Mhm.
And that's why I talk to Kue all the time about, let's become really good at shooting and let's show people, hey, this is a talent that you can do too.
Yeah.
I think we're too old. So I think we gotta wait for our son to be the one who carried the torch.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely agree with you, Christian, because right now, I do see my son having a better future than me because I'm exposing him to like a lot of things than just education. And by doing that, that also build confidence in him, because I think the reason why it goes back to what I was saying earlier, we have a lot of self-doubt in us because the only thing that we were exposed to was just education and nothing else. And I'm not saying that shooting guns or like will build confidence, but it will like it not just shooting, but like just like swimming, becoming a gymnastic or boxer or whatever. I feel like that will open up our kids' vision more than what we had.
Mhm.
And going back to what I was saying, self-doubt, our generation we didn't have that. So it's really hard for us to try new things because we don't believe that we could do it. And I think that's one of the reasons why there's not enough Hmong people in the shooting community, especially like the competitive shooting, because I talk to a lot of Hmong guys and I'll be like, hey, dude, guys, come out and just shoot. It doesn't matter if you suck. And that their excuse is always, I don't think I'm ready. And I always tell them
Mhm.
that, you will never be ready, because you have to understand that in this sport, you will suck. it doesn't matter how much you think you train and stuff like that, because the reason why you suck is because you don't know anything about this game. And once you understand the game, then that's when you will get better. And the only way to improve yourself is to realize that you suck first. And yeah, so I feel like the only way for us to have more Hmong people in the shooting community is maybe we have to have our kids carry that torch.
Yep, I completely agree. Just like you, and everybody else, I grew up super poor. So my parents kind of, instilled like grind at school, focus on school. You'll become a doctor, do great things one day, and then you just get focused on school, school, school. We never took vacations. We never played competitive sports. We weren't exposed like the kids are these days. Like I have friends that have kids that are in swim, dance, gymnastics, horse riding, just things that we could never even dream about when we were
Yeah,
younger. And that's they're building their kids' confidence. They're
yeah,
they're building these kids to kind of grow. Like my daughter, she's 2 now, and we're planning to put her into all these things to kind of build her self-confidence, because that's what we lacked when we were kids. We just that self-confidence because we weren't exposed to other people around us. You were just exposed to school, your friends at school, and then come home grind. Um, so I think that lack in self confidence, it's I've heard that before, like you said, is like, hey, let's go shoot. Oh, I'm not ready, man. I'm just gonna make a fool of myself. But you got to put yourself out there to kind of grow, and that's what people are doing. Our current generation now with kids is we're putting our kids out there so that they can grow. And like you said, I think it's going to be a generational thing. Maybe not in our generation. Maybe the next generation will have GM kids, Hmong shooters, because they were exposed to all those other things that we could never have dreamed of. Like I was lucky enough to play soccer in high school. That's the most I've ever done. Um, it's just it's a generational thing. I think it's going to be maybe next generation that our kids can possibly maybe get into the shooting game a little bit more than what we're experiencing now.
You guys just wait. When Nathaniel gets older and he's off to college doing his own
Mm-hmm.
thing, then I'm gonna be a GM. Don't just wait for that second win. When you got more
Yeah,
time,
that's true.
then we'll focus on being GMs.
Yeah.
Bruce, what about you,
Yeah,
man? What's your opinion?
you guys bring up good points. It sounds like we all kind of grew up on the same boat, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, they're like, mom and dad's like, go to school, become a doctor, where because that's what's going to get you something tangible in the future. That's what's going to be productive to you. And that was, I think they did the best with the knowledge that they had at that time. But we didn't do anything extracurricular. We didn't do basketball, football, soccer, nothing to build confidence, like you guys said. I got into basketball because some kids were just playing out in the street, and I went and played with them one day, and then, uh, you know, and then there's all these other Hmong kids playing basketball, and I just started playing with them, and that was the start of, physical ability, being better, physically, and kind of understanding confidence, teamwork, um, communication, such basic things. Because we didn't have that. We talked to our parents and they talked to us and we communicate at home, but then they're like, go to school, come home, go to school, come home. Um, and I do believe that, and I'm starting to see that it is going to be a generational thing. And as much as I don't want to say, or as much as I would hate to say that our turn is over, I don't want to say that now. But I think the reality of it is most of us were pretty established, got kids and wife and, other things. And so to commit that time and those resources to becoming a GM, becoming unless your line of work involves firearms directly, I'd say it's pretty slim. But I don't want to doubt anyone. I definitely think it's still doable. It's just about balancing that home work life, um, the kids, and everything else, man.
Nah, Bruce, I will be the next Jerry Mitchell. Just wait. Just
I
wait.
love it, dude. I love the confidence, dude. I'm all for it, man.
All right, what do you guys think about this? So it's shooting specifically. So, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Republican, because I'm not. All right, but do you guys think is also because most Hmong people are Democrats? That's why they don't want to involve themselves in the shooting community. Is because since they're Democrats, they have to hate guns because that's what the government tells them to. Do you guys think that plays a role?
Um, I don't know. Kyle and I know a lot of conservatives, especially over here in North Carolina, and they don't really shoot either.
Yeah, that's true. Yep, very true. I don't think
I
it
think
does. Go
that
ahead, Bruce.
political affiliation, it might play a small role, but it's not that big as we would think it is, like with Mikana, yeah. It's not quite like that from my personal experience. I have Democrat family that loves hunting, stuff like that, and they're kind of going towards this way, but they still try to stay over there, stuff like that. And I think getting them into shooting wouldn't be too hard of a step. It just goes back to exposure. It's probably the biggest thing from what I see, in my little bubble over here. It's just the exposure.
What were you gonna say, Kyle?
Yeah, I was going to kind of say the same thing as Bruce. It's all about exposure. Like I have Democrat friends, some family that love to shoot. They just don't invest in it like we do. Um, I think it's exposure. Because, like Christian said, we have Republican friends that have guns. They just don't put the time in.
All right. All right, next question. And this question is going to be specifically to you, Christian and Kyle. Um, do you think, oh, before I ask you guys this question, how often do you guys have Hmong people come train with you guys? And I'm not talking about your guys' CCW class. I'm talking about like getting better at shooting. Be honest. How many do you guys have a lot of Hmong people or just a little bit?
If we can compare like the number of classes we do, like concealed carry classes versus people who are asking for even like a level one pistol,
Hmm.
like intro to concealed carry kind of stuff, not a lot. Kyle and I we're kind of like forcing these guys to come train with us. We're like,
Yeah.
hey guys, here's the time, show up. Christian's going to give you some cool stuff, and Kyle's going to give you some cool medical training. And out of that group of 12, like I said, 3 or 4 show
Three.
up, right, Kyle?
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Even like the pistol one or rifle one classes that I
Hmm.
teach, it's majority like Macadamia, or it's
Hmm.
not even like they're maybe Cambodian or Laos. It's not a lot of Hmong people that show up. Um, and that's for the pistol one and the rifle classes. It's Lahainengaya. So maybe one or two Hmong people show up. The rest are
All right.
different ethnicities.
So this is the question.
Hmm.
Do you think it's because we're Hmong, so Hmong people doesn't want to learn from you because it's not the norm to see Hmong people teach shooting?
I've thought about that. Um, I've thought about that. I've been teaching like Kyle and I've been teaching concealed carry for a long time, and so every so often I'll talk to some Hmong person, and then instead of taking my class, they ended up taking the concealed carry of some little gun shop down the street, and you know. Kyle and I can tell you that a lot of the shops that are doing like concealed carry classes, like the most basic level, it's 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 just a certificate mill. You come there, you show up for a couple hours. A lot of them they don't even do the mandated. North Carolina mandates 8 hours. A lot of them they don't do that. I've talked to some people. They just do it for a couple hours, like 4 or 5. Here's the basics. Out there and go. Kind of we put a ton of effort into our basic concealed carry class because I understand that might be the only firearms training that these people are going to get. That's for the vast majority of them. And so I'm going to put everything I can into making that the best class that I can. And you talk to a lot of instructors. Anybody's high level, they absolutely don't teach concealed carry. But I teach it, and I really enjoy teaching it because I put a ton of effort into making it realistic and applicable into the way that regular people would interact with firearms, especially in a self-defense scenario. And one of the things I want to be careful about. So this is my Hmong flintlock, right? This is really cool, authentic, original piece. You guys should check out Neng. Neng does his channel is called Neng Now, and so he's a Harvard grad, and so he collects a lot of Hmong historical artifacts. And so this is one of the ones that I got from him. So my dad was telling I got this, and then my dad was telling me a story that during let's see, I think it was during the French occupation of Vietnam. The French, they would encounter the Hmong villages and Hmong tribesmen, and they were trying to just pretty much like take over those areas, but they couldn't, right? Because the Hmong, they would hide in the forest, and anytime the French would try to attack them, the Hmong fighters would pretty much just ambush them with these flintlock rifles. And so the thing about the flintlock is that it's wildly outclassed. We're 20th century here. Okay, so by this time the French they've got center fire cartridges and bolt action rifles, right? And the Hmong are still using flintlocks, right? Single shot black powder guns. Okay, but they know the terrain and they've got really good guerrilla tactics. But what eventually led to the defeat of the Hmong is that they were betrayed by their own people. Okay, their own people betrayed them because their own people are like, okay, well they were the ones who betrayed them. They worked with the French, and then they told the French that yeah, the Hmong fighters are really good, but you attack them during the rainy season because during the rainy season, this doesn't work anymore when it's wet, and that's what they did, right? And so one of the things I want to be careful about is that, we don't cut down our own people because all too often we see that. And I don't know for all of us that we may joke and we may have our annoyances, but ultimately we want to see that Hmong community grow. We want to see it to become better. We want to see your kids have better careers, better futures, and we would love to see you become safe and proficient with firearms. And I think that's true for all of us. That we really want to improve our community as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I kind of take the same approach. It's like I'm not going to push you to kind of join the community. I'm not going to beg you every weekend. But hey, if you want to come out and shoot, you got my number. Shoot me a message, and then we'll go shoot. We'll do the best we can and get as much done as we can with the time that we have. But I'm not going to, bother you. Feel like I'm a ball and chain to your ankle. I'm here for you if you need me. But I won't kind of push it on you. I do want to see our Hmong community grow in the shooting aspect, but I think it'll take time because the friends that I've shot with, I think they didn't take me as seriously as they thought they should have. I don't know if that sounds too. Well, they didn't take me as seriously as they thought they should have, or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I think once they understand that Christian and I, we know what we're doing. We're a next level shooter. We can kind of teach them the basics and kind of teach them the next step. Those people that see that and recognize that, they keep coming back. They keep wanting to come shoot. So if we can get those people to keep coming back or spread the word, maybe it'll grow a little bit quicker. But for now, I think we're not in a terrible spot. A lot of people have their permits, have guns. Maybe they just don't have the time. I don't know.
The
It's a
reason why,
start.
It's a
okay.
start. It's a start.
So for me, my opinion is I think your race does play a role. Here's why. So I'm not an instructor or anything, but During COVID, with the Asian hate crime going on, I noticed that a shit ton of Hmong people were getting their permit to carry in Minnesota. That's what we call it, permit to carry slash CCW. Um, I offer free training to anyone, but specifically towards my community that,
Hmm.
hey man, look, I know that I'm not the best shooter, and I know that, you know, I'm not an instructor or whatever, but I think I know enough to teach you the introduction and just to get a little bit better than a permit to carry class, right? So I offer a free training class, and all you have to do is just pay for a range fee since I don't own any land and I don't have enough money to pay for everyone. So just pay for our range fee and I will show you what I know, and I share that in the Hmong village community, which has like a lot of members, and even in Hmong firearms. So when I was still in there, these other Hmong firearm groups, and only two out of and that post has like over hundreds of shares and hundreds of reaction to it, but only three people out of hundreds of people that seen that post took the offer. And and I see that the people that I know, and they know that I post that, and they press like or heart on it, but yet I see those people taking a training class from a white dude that looked like a SF guy instead, and they pay for the class. So I feel like our race does play a role in our Hmong community because it's not the norm to see Hmong dude with a dad bod training, teaching shooting because we just don't look the part. And I think that's one thing that Hmong people don't understand is that you don't have to be a law enforcement, you don't have to be in the military, you don't have to be an SF guy to teach the basic shooting. And so that's why I do think that our race does play a role because we barely see any Hmong guys or Hmong women train shooting. So I think that that's an issue. That
Dude, it's the beard. You don't have enough facial hair.
and that
Yeah,
too,
Yeah,
you
and
gotta
that
do it.
too. We don't
You got
have.
your arm, the arm tats are on point. You need to grow a beard now.
Yeah, you need a full sleeve
Yeah,
hmm
here,
yeah.
and
Hmm.
you need to put some muscle weight on.
Hmm.
Hey, you got one thing right though, Bruce. You got a 5'11" shirt on.
Hmm.
So
Right?
yeah. I think that's why a lot of Hmong people didn't take my offers because I'm just a regular dude. And it's not that they don't know who I am. Oh, what they don't know who I am, but it's not that I don't post any videos of my shooting. I do post my shooting videos and all that. They see that I'm not an average shooter. I'm not saying that I'm like a great shooter, but compare myself to like a lot of just regular gun owners, I'm like 10 times better. You know what I mean? But I think that's why a lot of Hmong people didn't take my offer just because I'm Hmong. Yeah.
I still think it's an advertising issue. I think that if you could sell yourself as well as, some of those other big buff dudes out there, I think you would do well. I think it's advertising.
I think Christian has a great point. It's the exposure, the marketing, the advertising,
Mhm.
in its own way. Maybe it doesn't need to be flashy. Like some of the other, you see like these USPSA guys shoot super flashy videos. It's really cool. Um, but I think that our community is just like every other. If it's cool, it's
Mhm.
flashy, they'll buy into it. Outside of that, it's word of mouth, and it's the people you know that actually know how well you shoot. Past that, they see you for 30 seconds on a video, and they'll judge you from there. And for a lot of people, it's like, no, he doesn't look the part. And then for a lot of people, I feel like that kind of works both ways. I feel like you get um, because I experienced this in real estate here. You get the, oh no, he's just Hmong. He's just gonna, how Hmong people
Hmm.
are with
Yeah.
business. You're just let's not use him. And then you get the, oh, he's Hmong. He would probably have us, he would have us hit our best intention in mind. and he would better understand our situation. I've experienced both, to say, and here, from my personal experience, I've experienced more of the, oh, let's use him because he is Hmong, because he does understand our situation. And so I can see how that could be double edged. But I think what could do it is the exposure, is the marketing, like Christian was saying.
Who you're trying to be wants it, Kim. Maybe you need to be more Tulam.
I think
Yeah,
I need to wear Hmong clothes. What?
yeah, a big elephant foot on the back, a big hat too. Yeah,
Dang,
I
we
tend to
need
agree.
jerseys.
Yeah,
We
we
need
do need
jerseys.
jerseys. We got
Yeah,
shirts, we need jerseys.
jerseys.
I kind of agree with what Bruce was saying. It's a kind of double edged sword. So when all that Asian hate, stop Asian hate was going on, me and Christian were full classes, like stacked. Like 35 students a class. We were doing one class every month, and they were stacked. So and it's all Hmong people, all Asian people. It was word of mouth. Hey, these guys, they're teaching concealed carry class, and they're Hmong. Maybe you should hit them up. Um, so we experienced that where the Hmong community kind of put trust in us to teach them concealed carry. But then, like you said, Ku, we um, every time we have a class, it's like, hey, next month Kyle's teaching a pistol one class. If you guys want to really dive into shooting and get the full aspect of shooting quickly in a self defense situation, sign up for that class next month, and nobody signs up. You know, um, so I think it is a double edged sword. Hmong people will. I don't know if it's because we're Hmong and they don't respect us as an instructor, because I think they do respect us, because me and Christian are known for the shooting. In our small community, me and Christian are known as the shooters. Um, I just don't think that people are taking it serious enough. It's it's kind of on the back burner for them. But once all that Stop Asian Hate started, it was like forefront. Let's get it done. Let's sign up for that class. Get it done. These two Hmong guys are doing it. Let's sign up. So, like Bruce was saying, it's a double edged sword. It can fall both ways.
I think that goes back to what Bruce was saying. I think the reason why Hmong people, Hmong people, they expect something back. So by
Hmm.
taking a CCW class, they got their permit to go purchase
Yep.
guns,
Hmm.
but then they think that by training they don't get anything out of it.
Yep.
And that's one thing that I'm trying to educate our community on, is that I feel like your training is more important than your CCW. Because there's no point of carrying a gun if you can't shoot to begin with. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Because the target is not just gonna stand there. If you just practice shooting slow your whole life, you're not gonna be prepared to shoot in real life. If you had to defend yourself in real life. So that's one thing that I try to focus more on the training and push more training towards the home community. But yeah, so it's just like you guys said, marketing. It's just not flashy. It's just
Hmm.
not cool enough to talk about training, because training is boring. And like with Tu Lam, I mean, I love that guy. I love watching his videos because he's good at marketing, but his teaching on shooting is kind of outdated. But then, the Hmong community, they love that shit just because it looks cool. He's good at advertising, and he's the SF guy. Um, and he's buff. So-
And he was in Call of Duty.
Hmm.
but he doesn't have a beard though.
True,
But he got
true.
tattoos. So
Kuz,
Yeah.
is your wife still doing tattoos? Maybe I'll get a tattoo from her when I come up
she's taking a break right now. Yeah. But yeah, man.
next time.
So I don't know, man. Yeah, because so yeah, I honestly, like, I'm out of ideas. That's why, like, if I'm actually thinking about doing gun reviews, which I don't want to fucking do gun reviews. Um because that's not me, because I'm not into guns. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not into guns. I don't give a shit about guns. All I care is about shooting and training. I don't keep up with the latest trend, with the new guns and stuff. I just care about training and if the guns is reliable or not, you know. And I guess that's boring to most people, not just our community. But since we're speaking specifically about our community, I guess that's just boring to the Hmong community because back when I was on Hmong firearms, someone will post a picture of their Glock 43 and that shit will get like so much reaction to it. But then if someone posts a video of their shooting, there will be no reaction unless uh they could criticize. So that's one that's going back to I brought a good point. I want to I do notice that the Hmong community we love to criticize people. Because I noticed that and I did this as an experiment. So I post so I always post my shooting video, my USPSA run, my good runs, and I would get no comments on it, right? So I decided to upload a very old shooting of me when I first got into shooting, which I was trash, and there was so much fucking comments. There was like so much like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. So I feel like in order for I feel like Hmong people, most Hmong people, not Hmong people, but most Hmong people are waiting to criticize than to actually appreciate what you're doing.
I agree with that, Koo. I had similar experience with that too. I posted like a PCSL two gun, or I think it was an AK rifle match, right? And some of these bays they're not that big, so targets the furthest were 25, 35 yards out. And I posted it in one of the home hunting groups. They're like, "Oh, target's so close. It's gonna be so easy," And of course, in my head, it's like, why don't you come out and run this and see you can run in that time?
Tr- Try
But
it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Try
but
it.
and it was some super OG dude too. But I was just like, it may look like that, but I would encourage everyone to come out and try it for themselves and see how it is to work under pressure. Um, but yeah, you post those videos where you do decent. No one really says anything, or they'll say very cool, or very few. But you post something. I had a video of way, way back when I first started shooting. I was trying to go faster, and my finger floated off the side of the gun and floated towards the trigger guard. And dude, people were just hammering like, "Don't put your finger in there until you're ready to shoot." These guys, some guys, it's funny because some of those guys were calling magazines clips and stuff like that, but they're telling me not to put my finger in the trigger until the gun is fully level. But I don't do my best to not just take it for a grain of salt and not let it get to you. You
Mhm.
know where you are at personally, and for the most part, you know where they're at when how they use language, or you don't even see them shoot because they're not really into it. But people just love to criticize in general, and it's
Mhm.
funny sometimes.
That's why the Hmong Tea group is so popular because people like to criticize. I mean, specifically the Hmong community. I noticed that we love to criticize. We love to talk shit. We love to troll on each other. But in real life, when you actually meet a lot of Hmong people in real life, a lot of them are quiet. They don't actually troll as hard as they troll on social media. And that kind of goes
Dude,
back to what I was saying about Suni Lee. They make fun of her for not being able to speak Hmong, but they love her gymnastics. So I feel like a lot of the Hmong community, a lot of Hmong people, not all, but they always find things they want to criticize because it makes them feel better.
no, that's definitely true because I was in very, very early home only hunting groups. And it basically turned to home hunting tea, all it was just smack talking and shit talking and stuff like that. I know drama will pop up here and there because we're a small community, but it was straight that every chance it could. And that's why I kind of started my own group because I had a different vision. And it's still hard to take that piece out of there because most people are so drawn to drama. As soon as something pops off, there's like 25 new member requests, and I know they're just coming in for the drama
Yeah.
because that's the only thing that popped off. And so it's just I would like um, to kind of turn that perspective to be a little more encouraging, and not always just so critical. I understand where that came from because obviously came from our parents, right? Because they were critical, or our grandparents were always critical. But it doesn't always have to be that way.
Yeah.
Shoot, sounds like we should just start our own drama to get more people interested.
Yeah.
I bet if we did, we get a lot more shooters.
Hmm.
Who are we gonna call out? Who are
We're
we
gonna
calling out?
we'll call East Coast versus Midwest versus West Coast.
Oh,
Hey, I should
Let's do it. I'm serious, dude. Let's do like a shot timer, a bill drill, and see who does it the fastest.
oh shoot, I'm
We should just
down.
That'll be
do it for fun.
hilarious.
Yeah, I'm down.
Oh, I'm down.
dude, I can't even do a bill drill to begin with. I have only successfully did the bill drill 3 times.
Yeah, put like titles like Hmong, West Coast versus Midwest versus East Coast. Bill drill. Which Hmong are the better shooters, and just do something stupid like that. I bet you we get that exposure we're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Bruce, you're joking, but honestly, I love that
It's a
idea.
pretty good idea actually.
No,
Oh, that's gonna be
I agree because Christian, your first USPSA video has more video, no, more views than my other podcast
I
with
saw that.
does it.
with
Yeah.
the white people in it because I guess they want to see if you're good or you suck. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I feel like, and I know that not most of my viewers, but I guess it is most of my views are from the Hmong community, and your video had like 100 views in like 2 days, and I'm pretty sure because not because they give a shit about what we have to say, but they just want to see if you're gonna suck or not since you're Hmong. Um, and I noticed one thing about the Hmong community is that we want to see a Hmong person rise, but we don't want them to be successful because it's not us. So um, I feel like we have this jealousy in our community where we want to see someone up there, but then we kind of don't want them to be, we don't want them to make it because it's not us. But then, like I think that's why our community is so slow at growing in almost everything, not just shooting, but in general. Like Hmong musician, yeah, we want to see a Hmong rapper or Hmong singer make it mainstream, and I feel like Kale Universe definitely have the potential to make it mainstream because, yeah, I get it. She can't speak Hmong, but I don't understand her Hmong song at all. But that's not the point. The point is that she's making she's making all these music that are unique and that a lot of Hmong people can't do.
Mhm.
Because a lot of Hmong people they're still sticking to the old school music, and while Kale Universe is making all these new school music, and I feel like she does have the potential to make it mainstream. So, but then at the same time, we trolling on her because we don't actually want her to make it. You know what I mean? Singles with, um, this Hmong rapper named Kid Swami. But um, yeah, you guys get what I'm saying, right?
Yep. Yep.
We want
I
someone up
see it
there,
too.
but we don't want them to be up there because it's not
Mhm.
us.
You
Yeah,
want them to succeed, but you don't really, really want to
yeah,
see them up there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Low key
Yeah.
hating, low
Hmm.
key jealousy,
Yeah.
and yeah, that goes back to what I was saying. Drama. Hmong people just love drama. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that, and I've faced some of that too. And all that does is that pushes me to do better, to
Hmm.
run it faster, and it's fun. It's fun to be kind of challenged like that, for me at least.
yeah. All right. So the next question is, how is the Hmong community compared to other Asian in the shooting world? We kind of covered this in a way, but I
Hmm.
guess I'll start. We could dive a little bit deeper into this. So I noticed that when I compare Hmong people with, like, let's just say the Chinese, Koreans, or Japanese, um, I noticed that they have more of a, okay, I should say this. the Hmong American community, not Hmong community, the Hmong American community compared to the Japanese, Chinese, Korean, American community is that the those Asian they they encourage the kids to do more activities than just education and tradition. And while our community, our Hmong community specifically, we tend to just focus on education and our tradition. And that's why I feel like we have a hard time um, trying out new things because we're so focused on education and tradition.
Do you think it's a generational thing? Like
Yeah.
maybe those
No,
those ethnicities have been here a little bit longer, like one or two generations before us?
no, because if we're just talking about in general, I would disagree because the Korean people, they came here way after we did, right? But look at them. I mean, yes, they're still growing, but I feel like they're doing more things than we are already. And they've only been here for like how many years? 10 years, 15 years, around there. And we have been here for 40 to 50 years now.
Mhm.
And I feel like Hmong people are just slow at adapting. Because for example, Hmong Village, they just they've been running Hmong Village for many years, and they finally decide to have Wi-Fi. And a lot of Hmong Village, the stores they still they only accept cash, and then they don't use debit cards. I get it because they don't want to pay taxes. I get that, but still, like you gotta understand that if you're gonna put your business out in the public, your customer are not just going to be Hmong people. There's going to be white, black, and Mexican people coming in, and most American, modern American, they don't carry cash no more. They have debit cards, credit cards, and we're just slow. We're just so slow at it. Like we don't even use PayPal. We don't even use Instagram. We don't even use like all these technologies that are out there. Um, so I would have to disagree on that. Not because the those other East Asian been here longer than we have.
I think one of the things that I've noticed, especially comparing the different Asian groups and their, I guess kind of their firearms. Um, oh gosh, what is the word I'm looking for? But just kind of like the quality of how they approach firearms. Most people are generally F tier compared to the other minorities I see out there. Um, I made this joke with you, Ku, that you were saying that like the Hmong firearms group, they're posting like high end firearms. I'm like, where? I haven't really seen any. But especially like the different Asian groups, like the especially like the Chinese, like a lot of staccatos, a lot of guys who are doing like the hype stuff with LMT, Knights, SR-15, things like that, HKs. And so they tend to trend more high end. These are going to be the guys who are going to be like Rolex collectors, things like that. And yeah, you don't really see that too much in the Hmong communities, guys trying to go for more high end. There's a couple guys I know, but there's very, very, very few who can competently set up an AR. And when I say competently set up an AR, I mean actually like a quality gun, quality optics, and they actually know, how to properly lay out with like weapon mounted lights, sling, things like that. A lot of it's just the cheap stuff and Amazon special parts on it. Okay. Not to hate on guys who have the cheap guns and the Amazon special parts, but it's just that, if it's something that your life depends on, if it's something that you seriously are going to consider to defend the life of yourself and your family, take some classes, learn how to properly set up that gun and, stop putting every cheap gold or red colored part that you can on it. Okay. That's going to seriously affect that firearms performance. Um, so yeah, I would say we're kind of F tier right now when it comes to, if you look at us compared to other Asian groups. Um, it doesn't have to be that way. It just is that way. And I think one of those things that I mentioned that kind of sets us apart from the other Asian groups where they tend to trend more of like the high end of firearms collecting and start pushing more of that skill. I think that economics is one of those major factors that they can afford to have Rolex collections. They can't afford to have collections of Knights and HKs and things like that. Um, do you need to have SR-15s and HK4, HK MR556s, things like that, $6,000 guns. No, you don't. You don't. I'm pretty fortunate that I do pretty well business wise. I've got all my different businesses. I don't care for high end stuff. Like if you look at my shelf behind me, this is $10,000-$12,000 worth of reloading equipment. I like tools more than I like collecting guns. So that is to say that there's a different culture in those Asian groups where they like to have the kind of like the flashier stuff. But going along with that, once they have the flashier stuff, well, then they're going to get more into the race guns. They're going to build Atlas guns, and they're going to do more competition with it. So, yeah, I think we're still working on it, and I think that comes down to education, showing guys that that PSA rifle. It's okay, but there's something a little bit better out there, and you can run it a little bit faster than you think.
Do you guys also think is because we tend to stick to ourselves only? Because I noticed that those other Asian they tend to reach out to other races, while compared to us, we just mainly stick to our own. Because if you go to a lot of other gun groups, right, you don't run into Hmong people as much, but then Hmong people will make their own firearm group, and it was nothing but Hmong people in there. You know what I mean? So I feel like that also play a role because we just stick with our own kind, and how are we supposed to grow as a community um when we just stick with our own kind and we don't interact with other races?
I
Bruce,
think
what's the
that's a
scene
great
look like
Yeah.
over
point.
there?
Yep.
I think that's a great point because I have some friends that they run like I think they're admins in like Rooftop Asians, right? Um, and then we see all these Hmong only groups pop up, and then it's just we do just kind of like to stick with each other. I think it's also that um, I don't want to say it like that, but it's like that small fish feel because once you open to other Asians, it's a whole like Christian said, it's a whole different. Everyone's different financially, different levels of financial capability. You see guys with scars. You see guys with MR556s, MP5s. While we're trying to get the latest PSA saber, right? And so I think it does do that. But at the same time, that's how we grow. We should expose ourselves to better platforms, better forms of training, better things like that. That's how we get the exposure. That's how we grow. And so I definitely agree. Like I said, even in my own little group, the home people just kind of stick together, just like in middle school, high school. All the home guys stick together. Um, there's the other Asians, but we don't really hang out with them either. We just all hang out together on our own. Um, which I can understand the commonalities, the similarities, but it's a whole different world now when we're talking about shooting and stuff like that. And to get better, I think we should kind of mix in with everybody else. I live California, so there's the Bay Area, tons of great Chinese shooters. I don't really see that many Japanese. A lot of Chinese. There's Team Pinoy over here. They're really good.
I was gonna
A
say,
lot of
Bruce, like I never see Japanese guys shoot. There's a lot of Japanese themed training companies, but no actual
yeah.
like Japanese people.
I don't really see Japanese guys shoot either. Like I said, just a lot of Chinese, a lot of Vietnamese that guys that shoot really good. A lot of Team Pinoy, like you said, a lot of Filipinos. They shoot pretty good. And then there's a few Mian guys that I know, and then there's me, like in NorCal. Right now, I think I might be the only Hmong dude that's actually shooting USPSA consistently. I know some guys have tried before, but it's not that consistent. But um, it's just about that exposure and getting them out, and like a lot of the guys when you go out there, they're almost like who is Hmong? Like what are Hmong people in the USPSA shooting, the higher level shooting community to say, right? Competition shooting. They're like, what is home, right? Um, but that's where it starts. Starts with one guy, and so we can all be that.
You know, I I do agree with you guys, but I kind of disagree too. I don't think money is the issue. I strongly believe that Hmong people have money. Most Hmong people have money. The Hmong community has money. I think it's the lack of education. Um, and what do I mean by lack of education? I think it's because since we don't really interact with other race, we don't see what they do. So we don't know what we don't know. And and it's not that we can't afford for all these things that the white people are doing. We could. It's just that we haven't been exposed to it or we don't actually interact. Why do they get those stuff? You know what I mean? So I feel like is I don't think money is the issue here. Because
No.
if we're not talking about guns, Hmong people got nice cars, nice houses. Hmong people run a business, multiple businesses. Hmong people got money. In general, not every Hmong person, but in general, Hmong people got money. I don't think like for me, I'm gonna be honest with me. So for me, I don't make much money. I don't consider myself like wealthy or anything, but I think I'm pretty good for myself. And if you look, I spend thousands and $1,000 on this hobby every year, and I'm not a millionaire or I'm not a rich guy. I live in the poor part of Woodbury. You know what I mean? So, oh, you guys don't know what that is, but I forgot you guys are not from Minnesota. But Woodbury is a nice area, but I live in the beginning part of the Woodbury, so it's still kind of ghetto in some ways. And I don't think money is the issue because I think Hmong people just don't know what to spend their money on. So they just stick to like the really cheap stuff because they haven't been exposed to the higher end stuff, why it's important to get higher end equipment than cheap stuff.
Well, so cool. What you're saying is we're all going to buy Atlas 2011s and we're all going to buy Knights SR15s, right? Because we're going to flex now.
Dude, we can. We can if we really want to. It's just that we don't have the education of why we should.
Hmm.
Like we don't have the education of why we should reload. Like I don't make it that much, but this reloader cost me like close to 2 grand just to
Yeah.
set it up.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
that's the basic. That's not even like the
Hmm.
full thing, like what you have in the bag right there. And a lot of Hmong people don't see why they should start reloading or why they should buy this gun or stuff like that because they don't have the education of why they should. That's why we're not growing as a Hmong community compared to the other Asian because the other Asian they expose themselves to the other race and they gain knowledge from the other race, and that's how they're able to grow faster than we are because they're willing to interact with everyone because I feel like every community, black, white, Mexican community, we all could learn from them. But the reason why we're not growing is because we're just learning from ourselves or we're just sticking to our own kind.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree because we see it. We see Hmong people have money. You see people pulling up to the range for a concealed carry class in a really nice truck, and they come in and they pull out a CZ Shadow 2 with the nicest optic on it, or a Langdon Tactical Beretta M9, stuff like that. Hmong people have money. Um, I think just for the majority of the Hmong people, it's not on their top tier list. You know, it's not on their training is not on their to do list. Um, well, just like you said, it's going to take us branching out of our small Hmong community and stepping out of our comfort zone and getting to know these other people in the shooting community to kind of open our eyes to see, hey, this is something that our community can do.
I was going to say I'm still stuck on Bruce's idea of uh regional competition. I
We
I
should
think we
do
got to
like
do that.
super like beefy, like oh,
I'm, I'm so
like I think I'm
down.
better. You know, sell it.
I'm so down for
Yeah,
this.
I
Like
think
we're
that's a good
talking about
idea.
we're talking about starting drama to like drum up interest. Like I am 200% down for this.
Hmm.
All right. So what do you want me to do? Hey man. Hey, hello everyone.
Call
Welcome
out.
to Welcome back to When Shooting's Life podcast. You know what? Fuck Christian King. Fuck Kyle Moore. Fuck Bruce Lee. And then next thing you know, you guys are on the podcast with me again.
Yeah.
Midwest is the best.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I do. I want to add a little bit. So here in California, um, it's not with pistols or AR platforms, but it's kind of the opposite effect with PRS style or ultralight style hunting rigs. You have these older generation, probably one generation above us, so they're probably in their 40s, 50s, and they're running Defiance actions and carbon barrels. They have Mark Fives, or they have VX6s, Razor Gen 3s on their rifles. It's ultralight, whatever, and they're reloading and they're sifting out. They order premium bullets, hammer bullets, monolithic, and they're sifting out. They're weighing each one, and they're sifting out the ones that have a deviance of over 1 ounce or whatever. We have that here, um, but they don't have the training aspect, or they don't have the training practicing part as much as from what I've seen. I don't know. They could be training every weekend, but I doubt it. That's not really what I see. I see guys that put a lot of money into these bolt action rifles, and it's because they want to hunt with it. It's not they're not shooting paper or anything. So again, it goes back to that tangible thing. Like if I put 7,000 in this rifle, I'll be able to hit a deer at 700 yards every time. Um, we have a lot of that. That's really cool. To be honest, I don't even know who started that or got the community there, but I think it's really cool. But I think on this side with bolt action hunting rifles, ultralight setups, I think they can scale that back a little bit, and they can put in time or the money to go to practice those long range shots. And get more consistent at that, or shooting some of the NRL hunter matches, or do the PRS stuff like that here. Um, Pistols and AR platforms don't seem to be too big of a thing. I think that's because California's California, so we haven't cracked down. Not really cracked down, but it makes it complicated to own a legal AR rifle here. So that's probably why a lot of the guys went the bolt action route, but a lot of it's hunting too. But yeah, man, like some guys out there with a $10,000 rig, and they're trying to shoot deer at like 900 yards, and
Wait,
like
wait,
you could
Bruce, who are these guys? Are these Hmong guys?
it's Hmong guys. So here in California, I don't know if it's a big thing over there, but a lot of the Hmong community, the Hmong hunting community, we've split ourselves into teams or groups. But really, it's just like me and my uncles and my cousins, whatever. But we want to call ourselves a team. Um, so we have team long range, team sharpshooters, team close range. We have team, uh, uh, you know, a bunch of team names. If you guys look it up on YouTube, you guys will see them. But some of these teams are trying to um, make long range their thing, and they have nice guns, and they have put in some practice, some range time, but I still feel like they could put in more range time and cut back on what they're spending on their guns. But of course, I mean, at the end of the day, it's their money. They spend however they want. But that's just kind of my thought. I feel like the doing more with less is always better. But yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, it's your money, and you want to spend 8 grand on a bolt action, custom bolt action, go for it. But then you see these videos online, guys shooting at deer at like 760 yards and missing, 4 or 5 times, and then it just becomes this thing. And it just gets kind of clouded. It gets kind of like, oh, so do you guys really practice or not? Or or are those just really nice guns that you guys bought? So it's kind of an opposite effect over here with bolt actions. When it comes to pistols and ARs, it's kind of the same thing that you guys stated. They're not really into it. They don't really want to spend the money on it, uh, and that's just kind of how it is.
Hmm. Man, I want to see some of those guns. One of these days, I'll
Uh,
get into
I'll
PRS.
I'll send you guys some video links of some of the hunting videos, and they have pretty nice guns in there.
Bruce, invite me to your group. I want to see these guns. I'm
Oh
always
yeah, yeah.
surprised.
If
Always surprised when Hmong guys have like properly set up guns, and it's always nice to see.
Yeah, yeah. It's they'll go to a builder and hey, I want this action with this barrel, this scope, and this brake on a bedded super lightweight chassis or super lightweight McMillan stock or something, and then the builder will build it. So they don't build it themselves, but they
Oh,
have the money. Yeah, they have the money to have someone build it for them. Um, but like I said, it would be nice to see when people put in the practice. I know and do see one guy consistently shoot PRS, and he's always sharing it. But he's up in Oregon, so I see him do pretty well. But it's kind of how it is over here. Just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about how it's like the opposite effect with full action rifles here.
most of the guns like Kyle and I see, most of them are okay. Every so often we see something nice come through class, and then those
Mhm.
guys they tend to shoot not bad, and then we always invite
Mhm.
them to come, hey, come train with us. We would love to show you how to run that FN pistol or that Shadow 2 or whatever nice gun you have. And then we never see them again, which is a
Mhm.
shame. We would love for them to come train with us.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys get the same kind of responses I do here, but it's like that pistol, like, what is it gonna do for you? You're not gonna be able to hunt with it, or are you just shooting paper with that rifle? What's gonna come out of that, right? That's what I always get over here. Or you don't need we have the fun Hmong guys that are like you don't need 30 rounds to hunt because their whole mind is kind of situated around encompassed with hunting too when it comes to the 2A. And so you kind of get made fun of or you kind of get laughed at when they see you running and gunning, you know? And I think that might be a thing too, but I don't really care. And like I said, it's the exposure. Like, hey, all those pistols that are sitting in your closet, you can do something with it. You can learn from it. That AR, that M&P 15 that you haven't brought out for years, or you'll bring out once a season for camping and let the kids shoot. You can go shoot a match with it and get better with it. Um, and so I think a lot of the guys are still stuck on that tangible thing. Like my 7 PRC, I can shoot a deer with it this season. Your pistol, you're just shooting paper. Your AR, AK, whatever it is, you're just shooting paper. What is that going to do for you? A big thing is, oh no, no, yeah, it's always a big thing. And so I think that's kind of why we're headed in that direction. But I think, like we said earlier, circles back to the exposure. And like you said, your pistol that's your production Glock 19 that's sitting in the closet, you could take it out and you could practice and train with it. Same thing with your ARs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you heard me say this before, Bruce, but so my gun that's this is a airsoft replica. But my go-to gun is a Glock 19, and specifically for that purpose of, when I do a concealed sub 2 second build drill, I want to show my students that it's because I know how to do it, and it's not because I'm running a staccato. It's not because I'm running a 2011. It's because I put in the time and the practice for it. So I have much nicer guns, but I can take a very simple gun and I can run it quickly because I train with it, and that's what I want to show to my students.
I think Hmong people are more into tactical stuff. And why do I say this? Because I'm starting to see the Hmong community grow into a 2A community more often now. And I feel like since they're so brand new to the 2A community, um, they're mainly focusing on like the politics stuff instead of training. So when they see competition stuff, they just call it gaming. and they don't have respect for it because they don't know what they don't know. Like it goes back to what I was saying earlier. It doesn't matter if you're into tactical or competitive shooting because at the end of the day, shooting is shooting. And I said this on the last podcast already, and I will say again, um, tactical training does not make you a better shooter. Because tactical training is just for tactics, learning tactics and stuff, but competitive shooting will make you a better shooter. And I think that's one thing that um, the Hmong community they don't understand. And I think in order for the Hmong community to start taking training seriously, they have to understand that everything in life is gaming. Like I said in the last podcast, if you're doing 90 parking your garage, that's a game. Because if you hit your garage, you fail. If you have to defend yourself with a gun, that's the game. The game is to stay alive. And I think once Hmong people a lot of Hmong people understand that, they will start taking training seriously. So yeah, I think it's just because a lot of Hmong people are into tactical stuff and they're just too into the politics and not focus on themselves to become a better shooter.
Definitely. Yeah, I get that, especially from the older guys, the older crowd. They think that like competition, it's a game, right? Running and gunning with in PCSL, it's a game. But like there's this quote from I saw on Instagram. Competition is it, life is not a competition, but every shootout you get into is a competition, and you want to be the winner of that competition. That's kind of how it went. But I'll send it to you guys later. But it just stuck with me that um, it it is a competition. Who could draw faster? Who could get shots on target faster under stress? Sure, we can't replicate that in real life. We use the timer for that, but when that beep goes off and you start going, you could train that to have your mind work that way when you see someone present. They call that the 45 degree elbow, right? You can read those cues, and in your head, a timer is going to go off. But I guess that's a whole psychology thing that we could probably have for a later day, which will be interesting.
Yeah. I think people just don't realize, the general public doesn't realize how much the tactical world revolves around competition. How much we draw from competition, like optics, shooting under pressure, stuff like that. Um, how much the tactical world is drawn from competition.
Absolutely, absolutely. And honestly, I wish more guys were into the tactical stuff and actually came to train with us. Because I mean, Kyle and I, we do plenty of the tactical stuff. If you want to run around with night vision and thermal optics, like we got that. We'll do that with you. Just tell us. Just please, just come train with us.
Yeah, it took me until maybe 1 or 2 years ago to kind of see the next step in my shooting career and my shooting goals is competition. That's going to take me to the next level. Because not that I'm saying that I've taken all the great classes or met all the great instructors, but I think for me, being able to surround myself with those people on a monthly basis and shoot a controlled match, and compare myself and kind of draw what other people are doing, I think that's going to take me to the next level.
Kyle,
I
we got to
agree.
take it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Christian.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, Kyle, we got to take a Tim Heron class. Tim Heron, he comes over to Apache every so often,
Yeah,
and I've been meaning to take one of his classes. So you and I, we got to take a Tim Heron
he
class.
came last year, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the competition thing, I agree. I think just being in the presence of competition shooters and guys that want to get better at this particular skill, just being in their presence is invaluable. You can't put money on that, and that is enough to take you to the next level. Just picking their brain. Hey, if I was to present like this, how could I shave off quarter second. Just picking the brain, watching them go, watching them do what they do. I've learned more from my first four matches than I could say 10 years of going to the range and shooting on my own or trying to do tactical stuff with friends and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, it's so dumb. So I have Christian's Ace VR set at my house. He let me borrow it, and I would get so frustrated with these drills. I would go to YouTube and just how are the others how are these other people shooting these drills, and I'm watching their stance and where they're starting from, like their footwork and where they're are they starting left to right, middle, left, right. It's just it's refreshing to see someone else's take on it when you're struggling, and I think that's going to take me to the next level when I eventually make it to my first match. Kind of not trying to copy, but um, trying to incorporate what somebody else is doing that's working for them. Maybe it might work for me.
No, I think you make a really good point there, Kyle, that when somebody's learning to draw, a lot of times you end up sketching. And a lot of us, when we doodle as kids, you find like your favorite Dragon Ball character and you just do sketches of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then some people, they start with the sketches and then they understand the mechanics. They understand, how the body is and how muscles work and how to draw the forms better. And that's how you start, is you start by just emulating what really good people can do. And then you start to build something for yourself after that. So I think you've actually got an excellent starting point right there.
Yeah, I think a lot of Hmong people, they don't understand that it takes more than just shooting a gun to know how to shoot a gun. Like for example, there's vision, there's movement, hand pressure. It takes more than pulling the trigger to know how to shoot a gun. So, in an example, uh, Christian, do you remember we did the podcast with my sensei Ben, where he used Call of Duty as a reference? So that video got shared by this Hmong guy, and then his buddy was saying that his buddy comment on that video saying that that's like saying if I play Fortnite for 10 years, I'll be good at shooting. So he basically ignore all the reason why Ben explained why Call of Duty helped him to become a shooter. Um, he didn't listen to the part about like how the vision helped him. It's not that Call of Duty made him a better shooter. The Call of Duty helped him with his vision. And so you see a lot of people don't even know about that, about vision. They think that if I could pull a trigger and hit the bullseye slowly, I'm good at shooting. But it takes more than just pulling the trigger slowly and hitting the bullseye.
Yeah, but
There's yeah.
but Koo, that's so stupid. That guy, he's already got vision. Just open your eyes, look at the gun. There's your vision right there. Duh. Call of Duty don't help you shoot. That's stupid, Koo. You don't know what you don't know. And
Yeah.
then when we talk
Yeah,
about vision like that, it's much more complex. And that's
yeah,
one of the most interesting things that I've really learned is like Ben Steger and Hwanta Kim, they talk about one of the most important body parts, probably one of the most important things when you're shooting to control the recoil and to guarantee your hits on target is vision. And that's so weird, right? It's to talk about recoil control and like the most important part is vision in recoil control. That doesn't make sense until you start shooting. You realize, oh, okay, yeah. So you're saying that as I'm shooting and as the gun is moving, right? I'm tracking my sights and then I don't fire until I have that vision of the sights on target. And then you start to realize, oh yeah, you're right. Okay. That that vision is such a critical part and people don't appreciate that. And Kyle, you're probably learning now how you lead with your eyes and then you follow with a gun and how that's faster. And that
yep,
vision component is so hard to do when you've only got 15 rounds of ammo. And
yep.
that's what most people kind of fail to realize.
Yeah, so the ACVR really opened my eyes to vision. So the I can't remember what it's called, but it's a steel setup. It's like in a diamond, and it's got the
Hmm.
Texas star in the middle. So
Hmm.
that really helped me with leading with my eyes. And then I've never shot a Texas star, so I had to kind of figure out how to shoot that. But that Texas Star probably opened my eyes to vision the most.
Hey, fellas, sorry to butt in, but it's my time, so I'm gonna log off. But I really appreciate it. Definitely eye-opening. Love connecting with brothers that have the same vision.
Mhm.
We're definitely gonna do some more, and then we'll chat it up afterwards, and make some more plans after that.
All
Sounds
right,
good.
sounds good, Bruce. Have a good day.
Thank
All
you.
right, Bruce.
Bruce, it was so good having you on. We
Yep.
absolutely need you to come back and let's do that challenge. All right, East
Yep.
Coast,
Definitely, let's
Do
Midwest,
it.
do
and
that.
East
West
Coast is the
Coast.
best coast.
All right, fellas.
All right.
See you, man.
Well, one thing I was gonna say is that a lot of people they don't respect the rules. What do I mean by that? So, for example, when they see uh, competitive shooters, they will say, "Oh, in real life, we don't have rules," but they don't understand that the rules is to keep the shooter from not being dangerous. So, for example, if I could shoot a USPSA match without rules, I'll kill it easily. But the rules is to keep me safe. So it's like saying that, like if you see a pro boxer, right? Oh yeah, he's good in the ring, but the street is different. Dude, imagine if that boxer fought you on the street with no rules. He will fucking murder you. You know what I mean? That's the reason why they have rules is so that this guy don't murder this guy in the ring. So I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people, especially in the Hmong community, they don't want to do competitive shooting is because there's rules. And if you train with rules, that make you a better shooter without rules. You know what I mean? Like
I've never.
obviously I know that there's not going to be a timer in real life. But if I don't have to wait on the timer, imagine how fast I could draw without a timer. You see what I mean? So, um yeah, I think people don't respect the rules.
Never thought about that, but
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
All right, let's move on to our last question. So, and I forgot who came up with this question. I think it might be you, Christian, or it might be Bruce. Will we ever get a Hmong shooting range or club?
I think we gotta build that community that wants it first.
Mhm.
And even then, how do you just limit it to just like Hmong only? Um, I don't. Do we want to? I don't think we want to, but I think that at the core of it, that's something that we want for our Hmong community to have our own little shooting club, and I think that'd be fun. I think we can start with jerseys. Let's get a shooting team together and start with some jerseys.
I don't.
No,
Say it.
No, no,
Say it.
no, no, no. I was like, I don't think we'll ever have like a shooting range or a club. Is because, well, I'm pretty sure we can, but I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, from what I've seen, how Hmong people handle firearms at the range, especially the Hmong OGs, man,
Yep.
they're pretty unsafe. So for me, I personally will never open a range, just because of the liability, not just for the Hmong community, but in general. I feel like um, at the range, you're gonna get more of gun owners than shooters at the range. And I don't want to deal with gun owners. I want to deal with shooters, not gun owners. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Um, I don't think that we will ever have a club or a range specifically for Hmong people. It could be somebody opens a range that happens to be Hmong, but to solely dedicate it to Hmong people, I think that wouldn't work. Just because, like you said, how fault driven and um, nitpicky Hmong people are, I don't think it would work. Um, you would have to cater it to everybody, every ethnicity, um, and you could happen to be Hmong, but in my opinion, it wouldn't work if you catered it just to Hmong people.
Yeah, and even if it's just a club. Like
Hmm.
for example, my buddy Tony and I, we started this group for everyone, but we just call it Hmong shit, what do we call it? Hmong action shooters. And because we want to be different compared to like Hmong firearms, Hmong firearm enthusiasts, and
Hmm.
those are Hmong group that just post up about guns. We want to focus more on the training side, and I went and looked for all these Hmong shooters that take training seriously, or invite all these Hmong gun owners onto this group, and at the end, nobody want to post anything. Nobody want to talk about training. They just want to post up about their guns and stuff. And I try to, motivate them to train more, but nobody listen. Nobody cares. And the page died. No, the group died after like a few months. So
Christian, are we in that group?
Yeah, yeah, we're in
We
that
are
group,
in that
but
group.
I am guilty of not posting in there.
Yeah,
I don't think it's necessary posting there, man, because it is dead. No one takes
yeah.
it seriously anyway. Um, and then yeah, so I feel like no matter how hard we try, I don't think we're gonna get anywhere with the shooting and training in
Hmm.
the Hmong community unless our kids start doing it.
Yeah.
Because I think our mindset is we're stuck to the old ways too much. Yeah, we just and it goes back to what I was saying. We don't interact with other race,
Hmm.
and when you don't interact with like the white dudes that take training more seriously than we do, you you're not it's not going to motivate you to train more.
Hmm.
um and that goes back to what I was saying at the other podcast. I'm like this caveman that got out the cave, ran into these guys and seeing them doing all these things that I never seen before, coming back and trying to tell my home community that, hey man, we got to step up because we love guns, we got guns, but we need to step up in the training side, but nobody cares.
Hmm.
And I feel like we need, yeah, pretty much. And nobody cares.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
I think it's going to take a lot of things to line up. You have to you have to have the time. You have to have the budget. You have to have the curiosity, and you have to have the drive and the will to be able to learn or to step out of that box for someone to join us. And it takes a lot. Um, we have people that are curious. We know who they are. We kind of cater towards them. Um, Christian and I were part of a couple groups just like yours, and the silence for years. Um, but yeah, it's going to take someone who's curious to come out with us and take it to the next level.
yeah. And yeah, it's like marketing. Like
Hmm.
we've been saying, marketing is a problem. And to be honest with you guys, like if I was to start like a training business, right? I know that in order for me to motivate my Hmong people, I have to add like some stupid Hmong patterns on it. You know what I mean? And I don't want to do that because first of all, I mean, I'm not saying I'm not Hmong. I am Hmong, but I don't like the looks of the Hmong patterns. I think it's boring. I think it's overrated. I want to design something that I could relate to, but that won't grab the attention. It's just like how I obviously like I really don't want to wear a Hmong vest to go shoot. But if I really want that view or bring awareness to the Hmong community, that's something that I have to do. And yeah, dude, I think the Hmong community is too sheltered in the shooting world.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
I want to see a video of you with like full Hmong clothes and Gumby and all that stuff, and you're running. It's like clinking.
Dude, that video will blow overnight,
I'm
man.
telling you, it'll be West Coast to East Coast. Everybody's gonna see it.
But you see, that's the thing
I'll
too.
do it. I'll do
Yeah.
it.
The thing
I'll
is
do it.
the reason why I'm not doing that yet is because I want to be I want the how should I say this? I don't want the Mika people to look at me and be like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Yeah.
Not because of what I wear, but like this guy's not even that good. Why is he rocking that shit? And
Yeah.
then next thing you know, like the video blows up.
Hmm.
Because so in order for me to do something like that, I have to be up to that level and then do it. And then I'll be like, okay, like this is like when the Miga people look at it, they'd be like, okay, this guy is pretty good. But
Hmm.
at my skill level, I don't want my video to blow up just because I was wearing Hmong clothes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because
Hmm.
I don't deserve all them views. Um, but what I'm trying to do as a Hmong person for my community is just to bring more awareness, talk more about training, but nobody cares, nobody listen.
Mhm.
Yeah. You guys get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's all about context and
Yeah.
how people are going to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you undersell yourself, Koo. I think you do. You can give yourself a little bit more credit.
Yeah, I agree. You're a pretty good shooter.
Hmm.
I'm okay. I mean, I and like I said, I'm not trying to sound like I'm humble because I'm not humble. I'm an honest person. And I think I yeah, I need to get better in order for me to market myself better. Like I know that it's a marketing thing, but I feel
Hmm.
like in order for me to start marketing myself like this top dog, I have to actually get to that level first. And because at the end of the day, whether you admit or not, as a Hmong person, well, not, I don't know about you guys, but I feel obligated to represent my race. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
in order, I want to represent my race in a way where is uh is deserving. Like I deserve to represent my race in a certain way. Like I don't want to be representing my race and not be good at it. You know what I mean? Like because I don't want to see like for me, if let's just say a Hmong rapper, he's fucking like let's just say he fucking sucked, but somehow he made it to mainstream. Like I'm like, damn, dude, I wish that you would be better like at
Hmm.
rapping. But I give you credit for making it up there, but um and then I don't want the other race to be like, man, this is your guy's best rapper. You know what I mean? Like I don't want them to say that to me. Damn, this is your guy's best shooter. You see what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
I want to be better before I market myself like I'm the shit.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Because
understand.
I care about how other race think about my people. And as much as I'm criticizing my people, I'm criticizing my people because I care. It's not because I think I'm fucking a token Asian because I'm not. I'm the least token Asian you will run into, man. Because yes, I may be shooting with all these white people, black people, but at the end of the day, I still try to bring that knowledge and bring that awareness to my own community. I'm not like those token Asian where they just like, hey, I'm cool with these white people now, so I'm not gonna go back. I'm gonna forget who I am. You know what I mean? And I see a lot of that in the Asian community, where um, they just forget who they are. Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, for me as an individual, I care about my community. I want to see my people succeed, and I don't think nothing's wrong with that. You know what I mean? Like how the black community try to empower their community, and I feel like we should, especially when we're such a small community, we should try to empower our own community. But that doesn't mean that um, we're being racist or anything, you know what I mean? It's just that we want to see our community grow.
Hmm.
So that's what I've been trying to do. And some Hmong people think that I'm being a hater or I'm hating Hmong people because I'm criticizing too much. I'm not. I criticize because I care. I criticize because I care about um, how we are judged as a whole community
Hmm.
in the shooting community. All right,
Yeah.
specifically shooting community. So yeah, that's why I push so hard in the home community to like, hey man, let's go out and train. But at the end of the day, since I'm not a celebrity, no one takes my words seriously, no one cares. And it's the same thing like when Hmong woman talk shit about Hmong man, like, oh, Hmong man ain't shit because abusive, cheating, drinking, alcohol, all that shit. But they forget the no-name Hmong guys that have um been trying to stop that. Like for me, I don't support in second wife. I don't think that you should be drinking and going out with your friends all night and leaving your wife and kids at home. But nobody give a shit about my opinion because I'm a nobody. They're waiting. The Hmong community is waiting for like a Hmong celebrity to say something like that in order for the Hmong community to listen. So it goes back to what we were saying about Def Rhyme, Lu Ya. Maybe we need them to come out and shoot to uh, bring more awareness. But at the same time, the question is, do we really want to do that? Because if we're doing that, we're just gonna be like marksman, humble marksman, just reviewing SIG because he's getting a
Hmm.
paycheck from SIG now. You
Yeah.
see what I mean? And I don't
Hmm.
want to do that because, um, yes, shooting may not be important to like the other rest of the Hmong people, but shooting is very important to me as an individual, and I take pride in shooting and training, because that's the only thing that I do. That's what I enjoy to do, and yeah, I don't want to sell myself out just so that I could get up there. Yeah.
No, I think you got a pretty valid point there.
Hmm.
Yeah, you want to make it on your own merit rather
Yep.
than just using other people's clout.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's valid.
Yeah. And I think it's gonna so oh yeah, so to all your Hmong celebrity, I almost say Hmong, to all you Hmong celebrities who are listening, come out and shoot so we could so you could help us out. I'm not telling you that to come and to help us, but to just go out and shoot and train.
Yep. Just
All
come
right.
out, have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
I doubt that any Hmong celebrity is watching this.
Not this far. Maybe the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And you know
Yeah.
what's crazy, man? You know what's crazy? So as a Hmong person, I would expect to get more views from the Hmong community, talking about their training and shooting community. But I don't, because the reason why I know I don't is because these Hmong people, some Hmong people still messaging me like all these gun questions when they could just listen to these podcasts and learn from it. And yeah, so that just shows that I'm pretty sure a lot of Hmong people don't actually listen to this podcast unless I title it Hmong, which I will title this podcast the Hmong community, and I'm pretty sure that will gain some views.
Yeah. I mean, I think even me, if I got somebody famous to come shoot, I probably wouldn't even make a video. It would probably be more important for me to show them a good time than to market us. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have to say for now. Yeah, so I guess you Christian get Def Ryan out there then.
We'll see. We'll see if he's ever in North Carolina.
Yeah. Well, anything you guys want to say or add on to this podcast before we end it?
Yeah. For anybody that's Hmong, we don't hate you guys. We love you guys. We want to see our community grow. We want to see our Hmong brothers and sisters be able to take care of their families and protect their families and open your eyes to not only the shooting community but the competition community, because that's the fastest way you're going to grow. And we want you guys to be able to enjoy what we enjoy. That's why we're so passionate about it. So don't take everything we say with a grain of salt, because we love our community. We cater to our community. We just want to see growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. We complain because we care and we want it to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I won't mention the name, but one of my buddy was like, dude, why do you care so much, man? Why do you like uh if they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. Yeah, I get that. I get that. And it's not like I'm trying to force them, but the only way to bring awareness is to complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
Is to
Mm-hmm.
actually speak the truth about it. That's the only
Mm-hmm.
way to bring awareness um because if I don't, then who's going to? And then when I let's just say if I don't do it, and then you're gonna have some home people be like, well, who's gonna be the top shooter? Who's gonna bring us the awareness to us? You know what I mean? So I feel like there will always be negativity whether you're complaining or you're not complaining.
Yep.
Um, like just like how we will never expect a Hmong person to be a gold medalist if Suni Lee didn't go fucking do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, so I feel like we need to speak out more on things that we're passionate about. And we need to be honest. We don't have to be all professional and polite and saying all this shit. Like we got to be honest. And I feel like our Hmong community is very behind in the shooting community, and that's why I I feel obligated to just like preach as much as I can about the shooting community, of the shooting world to the Hmong community. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else, guys?
No, think I've said my piece.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is it. So, oh shit, I forgot to tell Bruce where they could find him, but I'll add his info in the description. But yeah, man, for the viewers, I know you guys said this many times, but maybe this is their first time seeing this video. Where could they find you to?
Christian, you go ahead.
Yeah, so you can find us on our website, mountaintribedevelopment.com. You can also find us, well, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram under Instructor Khang. And what about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, just my name. On Instagram, it's my name spelled backwards. So if you need anything ever, just shoot me a message. I'm not super active, but I'll get back to you.
All right, sounds good. I will add your information in the description. So, all right, man, you guys have a good night. So I'm gonna stop recording right now.